All right. We are going to be watching some Eve of Ruin stuff. I've waited long enough for them to come out with what they need to. So we're going to get right into it, starting with who was Vecna.
Vecna has no limit on ambition, because at the start of this adventure, Vecna is already a god. But
That is great artwork, I will say. I think this is my favorite book art that they've done.
not enough.
Yes. Yes.
That level of ambition is what terrifies me about Vecna.
I'm sure there's a cautionary tale there and a moral one too, that absolute power and all of that. But yes, his ambitions are limitless and never satisfied. He's like, I was a wizard. I had great power, but that wasn't enough. So I had to overcome my mortality and become a lich. Well, I guess being a lich isn't enough. I have to not only be eternal, I have to be all-powerful and all-knowing. So I'm going to become a god. Okay, now I'm a god. Well, what's next?
Yeah.
And that's what Vecna, Eve of Ruin drills down into. And folks might be wondering, well, how do you fight a god? I mean, aren't gods basically indestructible? Well, in Vecna's case, and I'm not giving anything away here, if you want to achieve even higher, sometimes you have to give something up. You have to spend some currency to hit the next tier, and so Vecna's kind of doing that. And so there's this window of opportunity where if you're careful and calculating and you do everything right, you can step in and kick him in the butt.
How do you write a genius-level threat like Vecna? And also, how do you fight?
Oh my goodness.
Because this isn't the first group of adventurers that Vecna has dealt with.
This is not his first rodeo, Todd.
There is probably a big hole in the ground where many adventurers did not make it.
Oh, Vecna delights in just being able to disintegrate.
Right.
Weird.
Lovely
all of
pile
that.
of dust. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I can imagine Vecna just dotted throughout Greyhawk and dotted throughout the various realms that Vecna has lived in are all of these just little piles of adventurers who dared to oppose him. Right. Well, I think that one of the biggest keys to portraying Vecna in an effective, scary way is to keep that thread of Vecna looming large over the characters and the events of the story, but to have him in the background, off camera, doing things that are affecting the entire world or all of the worlds, and having that just permeating all of the experiences that the characters have. That isn't necessarily him just showing up and popping up and going bleh and then running away, because that's not scary anymore.
Yeah.
If Vecna shows up every 20 minutes and just goes, "Ha! You'll never stop me," and then teleports away, like that's just gets silly. It gets silly. And it's hard to take that seriously after a while. We talked to DMs about having visions appear.
That's a really cool fucking monster. I do like how, I guess this is a good stopping point to talk. I do like how she's going over the fact of, like, if you have a campaign villain, don't have them show themselves or send messages or something to the party, have it affect the world around them. So obviously the character's choices will determine where you go with your story, but also the actual BBEG should be causing paths as well in the story. And if you don't know what BBEG is, it's just the big bad guy. And so I really like how she was saying that. I really like looking at this artwork now, this war zone. This was the castle, I think, that's in the book cover. I don't exactly know what castle that is. I also love this creature here. We have half a scorpion, half a bull and werewolf, it looks like, and then human arms. And then we've got some lizard folk. I don't know if these are imps. They look like some sort of monkey lizard things. And then some giant dragons over here, and then everyone else fighting.
What the characters see when they dream, or there are times when there are links to Vecna Flare for various reasons involving the plot lines, and to essentially have that a sense of doom and a sense of, Vecna is unstoppable. This is, the world is about to become irredeemable.
I absolutely love this artwork. I love lava cities. The only one I don't like is the one in Tears of the Kingdom. That fucking sucked. I hated that city. But Mustafar, I love the colors of this. I feel like the lava's a little too bright. I don't think it would get all the way up here, but there is flames in the city, so. But, I mean, these are fucking massive. Because, look, these are already big. So, that's crazy.
Redeemably evil and scary, and having flashes of the things that Vecna is doing, is wanting to do, and just reminding characters that this is what reality will be if he's not stopped. And it's going to be very soon unless something happens. The characters rise to the occasion.
But you will very much be in a position to have to face Vecna.
Yes. Oh, that's true. Oh, yeah. You absolutely fight Vecna. You absolutely come upon him while he's leading his ritual. You know, and you see that right in front of your eyes.
If you make it that far.
It's true. It's true.
You may not.
You may not. No, and there are more than. There's more than one character who is assuming that the characters will never get as far as they do on multiple different steps of this adventure.
There's some fantastic art.
Oh, he's kind of hot, though. Is this AI generated? Like, either A, this is really good drawing, or B, this is AI. I feel like this part here kind of gives it away, and also the eyes. But everything else looks like, look, their artwork looks weird because we have this painted looking chair, right? And it's the same for the leaves. But then you have this map, which is not in the same style. And then I feel like this is not in the same style, and he's not in the same style. Or they. I should say they. They aren't in the same style. So I'm feeling an AI around the face here and the map. But everything else seems to be the same art. I just don't understand why this looks like it's different. But that could be me. I'm not an artist.
Vecna's background. This is not just about what Vecna is about to do. It's about who Vecna has been.
To understand the villain, you must know where the villain came from, and what makes them tick, and all of that. Yes, there are some wonderful bits of storytelling woven in about the history of Vecna. Was he always a bad guy?
Also, I don't know why closed caption is saying Ekna. It's Vecna, for anyone confused.
Or did something kind of turn him on the path of evil? It was a great opportunity in the art to show different versions of Vecna over time. Like we largely know Vecna as the emaciated, lich-like being with the missing eye and the missing hand, but he was human, or more or less.
Those are the moments I very much enjoy. I think I quite enjoyed Stranger Things' take a little bit, especially showing the human version of Vecna in that show, of like this eerie kindness but deliberate nature in how they spoke and how measured, leading up to not the fall, but like the ultimate incarnation of evil.
Yes, that history gives you a sense or an anchor on which to sort of base a character.
Yeah.
Like if you're an actor and you have to play Vecna, which a DM is in essence, you're looking at, understanding their journey and understanding what they are is very important. Like Vecna's a wizard.
Yeah.
That means he's educated in terms of magic. He's obviously probably spent years and years and years reading books and spell books and learning to master his craft. One can easily imagine that person being articulate and thoughtful because they've been surrounded by lore and they've had masters who have taught them this very, very difficult art to master. And so it takes patience, it takes time. He's not a warlock. He's not a sorcerer. He is a wizard. And that means a certain thing. And that gives you clues on how to portray him.
What do you enjoy about Vecna in particular? Because you mentioned this has been in D&D since the beginning.
What I enjoy about Vecna is he's got some definition, but he's also an enigma. And as a DM, I can have a lot of creative license to kind of portray Vecna however I want.
Hello. Yeah. No. I'm just recording a few more videos and then I'm gonna chill on the couch. Neither two. Bye bye.
There's all kinds of aspects to secrecy and mystery that are bound up.
Oh, she kind of hot
Plus,
though.
he's got an eye and he's got a hand that are artifacts and are very powerful. And the characters can actually get a taste of Vecna's power by obtaining these things.
And how did those get separated from Vecna?
Through Vecna's inability to get along with other people, basically.
his poor management style.
Yes, he was. Vecna is many things. He was not a great manager of people, and one of his most trusted lieutenants and henchmen, Kas, who would later go on to become a vampire and a villain of his own,
he can
didn't see eye to eye, as it were, with his boss, and an altercation ensued, whereupon Kas deprived Vecna of one hand and one eye. And those became artifacts in the game.
Always a rough time when a player attaches one of those things.
And when you go back and you look at the lore of D&D, it's actually the artifacts that sort of pre-existed everything.
Right.
The Eye of Vecna and the Hand of Vecna were artifacts in the original D&D game, absent any knowledge about what Vecna really was or who. Vecna hadn't even been statted up at that point. So the eye and the hand came first, actually, and then Vecna fleshed out afterward.
Dumb.
Can you imagine designing the hand and eye of Vecna as just magical items for D&D at the very beginning, and then all of a sudden, Stranger Things, right?
Right.
All of a sudden, all these other shows.
What a weird journey that went on to get from these two artifacts, just with this name attached to them, to this entity in this TV show.
Just remember, when you're designing a magical item for D&D, you don't know where that road's going to go for your career or also for fiction, I guess, is the warning sign.
Right, because D&D is a shared universe.
Yeah.
And stuff that's created early on gets picked up and reused in other products. It gets incorporated into people's campaigns, and it gains it accretes new lore as it carries on through time. So I marvel at stuff that maybe I created 30 years ago that still has some gravity and has actually gained gravity and is used in people's games or has cropped up in adventures, but you never know what it's going to be.
For those that don't know, what is the Cult of Vecna? What is their purpose?
So the Cult of Vecna, they're all throughout the multiverse.
Ooh!
The God of Secrets, and he's all about extracting power from powerful secrets. And the Cult of Vecna buys into that to the point that they are themselves very secretive little groups that worship Vecna.
That'd be kind of a sick-ass tattoo.
Power in secrets, and that manifests all throughout D&D's history.
I'm not a tattoo person.
With people and cults who are worshiping Vecna and trying to extract those powers of secrets. And in this case, the manifestation of that is that they are literally using the power of the secrets and the power that the secrets have over the people who either hold them or that the secrets are about, and using that to funnel the energy into Vecna. And Vecna's got this very, very powerful bomb almost that he's weaving in a specific place of power and is about to detonate and remake the multiverse.
The thing I love about Vecna is that he is
Mackenzie!
your quintessential,
we love her.
Big,
we love them.
Terrifying bad guy who wants to remake the world for no noble purpose. He wants to remake the world because he wants to be in power.
Yeah.
And God, sometimes it's so satisfying in a game where you can just get to explore the depths of your imagination and really explore what it means to be a hero.
Yeah.
In when you're exploring those things, getting to fight against a bad guy who is just wholeheartedly, unabashedly, brilliantly evil. It's just so much fun and so cathartic. As a DM, I love Vecna because while he is this unabashedly evil, maniacal villain, he is a very clever villain. He does not run headfirst into things. He's very thoughtful. He is very much moving those chess pieces on the board, and it's always fun as a DM to kind of get into that mindset and see those pieces moving. And sort of figure out what his plans are, what his backup plans are, what his backup to his backup plans are. It's just so much fun. I love getting to play with villains like Vecna, who are just this kind of looming threat. And their threat can pervade from a
Same
low level where
artwork.
it's just like, you're
Oh,
engaging
I
with
mean,
like
it's good artwork, but
scientists, on a
oh.
lower level, to the scale that we eventually get in this adventure where the entire multiverse is at stake. He is this beautiful kind of recurring background threat that just you can just lay
Fucking
threads
dog.
of and get glimpses and pieces of his plan, but not quite understand the full scope until it's
Order
almost
of the
too late and you are
Souls!
running out of time.
Yes!
There's such a wealth of possibilities in the ways that you can approach
that.
Vecna and strategize into how to take this
I need to play Sea of Thieves
incredible
again.
big force down. And I can't wait for folks to get their hands on this. It's going to be so good.
It's only going to be like $70. Pre-order, that's even more expensive. All right, now we're going to the official trailer.
What if you could have your heart's deepest desire? The divine power to transform your life for the right price. An eye for
Ooh.
an eye,
Ooh, that's fucking sick.
for a crown. Wretched mortality for glorious eternity.
Damn, I thought it was going to say purpose.
With me. For who can stop a god?
He's so hot. He's so hot. Look at the dice. The dice are sick. I wish they would have made this more like eye related. So natural 20 would be like an eye, and then a 1, I don't know, would be a hand, I guess. I don't know, something like that. I don't know why they made it a fucking green dice. It doesn't even match the colors, but I'm not on the art department. That's fine. So now we're gonna go over the different monsters in Eve of Ruin.
You
I'm
worked
very
on
excited
a lot
for
of these
this.
monsters.
I did. Each of the chapters has
This is Ron
its own
Lunding.
theme, and then its own monsters that fit that theme. So I think when we went through the whole arc of the
Isn't that like
story,
every other
there
book?
ends up being something like 40 monsters in the back of this.
Yeah, there's quite the community.
Oh, look at that! Damn. What the fuck is this cave? Is it made of gum? Gum cave? Or is it your insides?
Some of these monsters are existing monsters that are very unique to those settings that we've seen before, whether it's Spelljammer or Ravenloft or Eberron.
Ooh,
and
I
so
have
it's exciting to,
Spelljammer.
like have that reference, but we're seeing a lot of new monsters.
And when you say new monsters, that falls into two types.
Yeah.
There's the type of monsters that are just brand new that nobody's seen in 5th edition before, and then
Sick.
there are a few
Ew.
monsters that existed in earlier editions of the game that have been updated.
Yucky.
I did a suite of monsters that, when they first came out, they're actually Tannery before we were calling them demons.
Oh,
but
yeah.
now they're
That's
a
hilarious.
new to 5th edition type of fiend.
Can you tell me about some of those monsters, like in detail, or will that ruin things?
I can tell you in detail. It's fun, at the risk of getting a little bit spoilery.
Right.
One of the sub-villains that you go up against is a demon lord named Miska, the wolf spider, who is a champion of chaos. And the fiends that serve him are these absolutely horrid-looking wolf-like spider-like
Look at that
things.
fucking
called the spider
thing.
fiends. And they come in various levels of,
I've
several
seen
of
this
them in
before.
a horde to shape-changing.
No, I haven't. Never mind.
types
I don't know
of,
where I saw
very
that.
Powerful leaders, and you get to see quite a lot of
sick.
these spider fiends in the part of the adventure where you're going up against the forces of Miska the wolf spider.
Nice. What other monsters did you help work on?
Some of the monsters
This, whatever this is, whether it's a hair or something in his hair, that is really, my eyes are going straight to it.
that have been pulled from previous sources. And some of those that have been pulled from previous sources.
He also has the yellow thing on his fucking shirt. Look at that. Oh, rawr. God, I need to go to bed.
Exactly, but they're taken thematically. They're like, oh, here is a type of monster that appeared in Ravenloft, for example. And here's another one like that you might want to know. There's a type of monster in Ravenloft. They're just relentless stalker. They're the kind of horror movie monsters that you can't get away from. They're always one step behind you.
Yeah, I love those.
And there are a couple of different monsters like that that have been published. Well, there's a new one that is different than any of those monsters, but fits the story of that Ravenloft chapter.
Nice.
A lot of the monsters that are in here were
I've seen
designed
that
by
before.
some of my peers, and it's just a delight. When I was going,
I like his
through these
tattoos.
monsters, some of the things that are just really inventive that come out of my peers' mind, disturbing even that come out of here. But
there are a few times that some of my friends have designed things. I'm like, okay.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, spider dragons and things like that.
Yeah.
This book has a lot of monsters in it where two independently tough types of creatures have been mushed together to be some extra horrifying thing. And that is a delight to see.
One of my favorite monsters that we get to encounter is an homage to the very classic stone juggernaut from Tomb of Annihilation. We've kind of upgraded it, but you will find the granite juggernaut roaming the depths of Earth as, depending on which path you decide to take through one of Asarak's tombs.
Why did they say it like that?
We'll see.
Without spoiling too much, there are a lot of very famous D&D NPCs that are helpful, or also villains that end up in this multiversal trek.
In addition to a bunch of really awesome monsters, we do also have stat blocks for some wonderful classic and iconic D&D characters, including Illustrial Silverhand, Tasha, a new version of Strahd that is tied to the Death House, which is very exciting. One of my favorites that is appearing in the book is a new Tasha stat block. So we've seen Tasha before in Wild Beyond Witchlight. We've seen her in her Igwilv form as Zybilna, Archfey of Prismeer. This version of Tasha that's going to appear in this book is a earlier version of her when she was just Tasha the Witch. So it's a little bit lower CR than the one that appears in Wild Beyond the Witchlight, but it is nonetheless still super fun. One of my favorite little Easter eggs in her stat block is that a lot of her actions that are actually in the stat block, a lot of her abilities, are essentially prototype versions of these spells that eventually become her spells in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything.
Oh, nice.
You have the prototype versions of Caustic Brew and a bunch of the other spells that appear in Tasha's Cauldron of Everything, as this is the Tasha that was actively working and developing those spells before they were released out to the larger world.
Why are monsters so important to an adventure? And in this one, they're so narratively tied to the adventure to give you that flavor, because each chapter goes to a different part of the D&D multiverse. This is like one of the key ways you kind of show, hey, you're in a different location.
Oh, that's absolutely true. And a lot of the monsters are included because the foes you go up against are thematic to the type of environment that you're in. But a lot of it is not just the foes you're facing. A lot of it is the people that you're working with or alongside in order to complete the goals. If you're in the Mournlands in Eberron, there's going to be a whole lot of Warforged and constructs and things like that. So we're pulling constructs from a lot of different existing sources and adding in new ones. Similarly, if you've got a monster that either just doesn't give up trying to stalk you through Ravenloft, or a vengeful inquisitor who is going to stop at nothing in order to defeat the monsters of Ravenloft. I mean, they give you that same sort of, not just horror feel, but that specific type of being hunted horror feel.
Right.
And the monsters help carry that.
What do you like about this adventure?
I had a lot of fun writing for very, very high level. It is amazing the types of things that very high level adventurers can do. Not just the type of abilities that they can marshal, the types of challenges they can overcome. Designing monsters to go toe to toe with heroes that powerful is a really fun part of this design. Nice.
Is that the... Nope. We have returning to Ravenloft, Spelljammer, Eberron, Dragonlance, and Planescape.
For Eve of Ruin, we go to a lot of different locations.
Yeah.
One of those is the Shadowfell. What is that town?
So this is a city in the Shadowfell that is behind Neverwinter on Sword Coast in the Forgotten Realms. And that town is called Evernight.
I know where
and
that is.
It is a strange, warped, dark mirror version of Neverwinter. It is ashy, it is populated by undead, and it's just kind of a scary place. When mortals go there, it's very obvious that they don't belong and that they aren't denizens of there. And the characters get shunted into Evernight because of something that happens in Neverwinter. They stop a ritual, and the energies pull them into a rift that leads into Evernight, and they have to find their way back and traverse this entire area and learn about some of the things that have been going on the material plane in Neverwinter, but also in lots and lots of other settings that set the stage for the later parts.
I find it strange that some of them look at
people
the
can get, like,
camera.
It's easy to get very focused on Ravenloft and the Dread Domains, but the rest of the Shadowfell often is a mirror of the prime material plane.
Yes.
So if there is a town in your campaign or the prime material plane, there is going to be a shadow version of that, or a Feywild version of that as well.
It's true, and in a very helpful way, there are these things called dusk crevices that lead to the Shadowfell, or from the Shadowfell back to where the characters originated from, and those can open up and be anywhere. There are some places where they're permanent in the Shadowfell, which the characters in Eve of Ruin have to find to be able to get back to Neverwinter, but they open and close sort of at random, or magic can affect them, or ritual magic can affect them in this case. And so it's a very interesting way to be able to introduce the characters into what they don't expect, into the Shadowfell, and have strange things happen and have it be a surprise to them.
Other than just the Shadowfell, we have Ravenloft in the Shadowfell.
Yeah, absolutely. So you go to Ravenloft, you go
this is gonna be a
to
fucking
Death
long
House,
one.
which is the location that some people may or may not be familiar with, that has a whole map and has a whole background in the campaign setting. But a piece of the Rod of Seven Parts is in Death House, and Elizabeth and Gustav Durst have got it inexplicably. Don't necessarily know exactly what it is, but they are using it to try to get the attention of Strahd. And so the characters have to race through Death House as they are dealing with multiple competing cults who know that this very powerful magic item is here and are trying to get it for their own purposes. There's an Inquisitor of Almist who knows that something is going on, that there's a lot of occult energy going on, and she's trying to go through it to stop any bad things that are happening. And then Strahd's attention is eventually gains, which is exactly what the Dursts want. And the characters then get to decide how are they going to deal with all of this attention that has been brought onto this house, onto this rad piece, and are they going to negotiate with Strahd for the peace? If he even shows up, he does. Are they going to try to take it from the cultist? How are they going to make that happen? And you can fight Strahd in this if you want to, but you don't have to. It's a player choice.
Lucy, tell me about what are the stakes in, say, when we go to the Eberron campaign setting? Like, what's interesting about that?
What's interesting about that is that we go to a place in Eberron that you don't necessarily see a lot, but you've definitely read about or probably heard about as you've been discussing this if you're a fan of it.
I don't, I'm going to be honest, I don't like D&D videos that are more like than 5 minutes. I really don't. Like, obviously, I'll watch campaigns for 4 hours and things, but when they're just going over the stories, don't make it more than 10 minutes. I don't know if that's a me thing. I don't like... Because they either, one, make it one whole fucking video and just make it 30 minutes, or make each video 10 minutes. I'd rather watch freaking 6 10-minute videos than, like, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 55 seconds, 10 minutes. It's like, ugh.
You go to the
It's rough. I don't like it.
That's the place that was originally called Sire, that became a magical wasteland during the Last War. That's how the Last War ended. And so to actually get to go into that land, you really get to experience how the magical wasteland has affected travel there, how it's affected the people and the survivors who live there, and trying to track down a specific magical item in a land where magic isn't functioning anymore and where travel is very difficult and obfuscated. That is a real challenge for the characters. It's one of the earlier places that you get to go in the adventure, but I think it's one of the most interesting because the Rod is not yet pointing to that next piece. It's giving a very confused aura. It's giving a very confused location where the next rod piece is, and it's because of that interference from that magical wasteland.
And we still don't know what happened in the Moorland.
And we still
That's what
don't
I love
know.
about that.
Yes, yeah.
Particular bit in Eberron is like you don't know what the disaster was.
Exactly. You only see the effects of it, and you see how terrible it was, and how it shattered an entire nation, and it killed hundreds of thousands of people, and it destroyed the colossi, the Warforged Colossus, and there's a whole bunch of them littered all throughout this area of the Mournland where you're having to travel in the adventure. And in fact, you have to go inside one of them and see some of the strange things that happened and see the remnants of the last war. It's been a couple hundred years, I think, at this point in that setting, but those things are still there because this all happened all at once and everything just kind of shut down. It's like a nuclear wasteland.
Yeah. And it's funny how completely distinctive each of these settings is. So we go to Krynn, we go to Dragonlance, and we interact with some associates.
Associates
some
of...
famous,
dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, some famous characters.
We can say, I think it's fine. Associates of Lord Soth. Yeah.
Lord Soth is involved.
Yes, yes. What is the point of playing on Krynn if you don't at least, like,
I'm
hear the...
I'm not gonna watch this whole video. I'm sorry. If it's over 5 minutes, I'm done. I can't. They got me at 12 minutes. I can't do another one of those. Yeah. We're gonna move on to a different thing because it's already been 30 minutes. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.